to our civic class. This is Class Online School. I'm going to take you civic education. And we've gradually ended your civic education for Jss3. We are entering your civic education for Jss3. And please mind you, we have concluded your entire curriculum for social studies on this channel from Js1 to Ss3. So all the content that is contained in your curriculum for social study from Js1 to Js3 are all covered here. So please go through the channel and see all the topic. This is civic education for Js3. The Constitution is what we're going to talk about today. And so what will be our objective for the class today? We're going to look at what Constitution is, and we are going to identify the various colonial Nigerian constitution. That's the constitutional system we have before independence, when we still have our colonial masters. That is the two objectives we have for the class for today. And so most times you hear the word constitution. When you hear the word constitution, what comes to your mind? And what does that word constitution means? Constitution can be defined as a body of rules and regulation or body of rules and principles that govern a country. A body of rules and regulation that governs a country. It is the basic law by which a political system operates in a country. The Constitution gives us the basic in which political system operates in the country, like political parties, the number of parties that can exist, and other things that requires the political system. It is a short document, like we have the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution, in a, let's say, in a booklet form. It is documented. Everyone can have access to the Constitution. You can get the Constitution and read it as a citizen of Nigeria. You should know your constitutional rights, and you should know what the Constitution contains. When you talk about political system, you talk about winning election for the presidency, for the gubernatorial seat, House of Assembly, senatorial seat. What are those things governing it? What makes an individual a winner? How is it that an individual can be declared a winner? Those are the political system we'll talk about. And then it is a short document, like I told you, and it is a document that generally has these written laws, rules, regulation that governs the country. It is general in nature, and it's embodying the aspiration and values of its writers and subjects. That is, those who make the Constitution and those who the Constitution are written for. Okay? We have lawmakers. Those people who make the law or write the Constitution are equally being, the Constitution is equally governing them. Those who did not write the Constitution, who are not part of the Constitution, are subject to the Constitution. So whatever is written there banned all of us. All right. And so the Constitution can be written or unwritten. And so let me run through again the Constitution. What is a Constitution? A Constitution can be defined as a body of rules and principles according to which a country is governed. It is the basic law by which political system operates. It is a short document, general in nature, embodying the aspiration and values of its writers and subjects. It can be written or unwritten. That is the Constitution. And We can equally say that the Constitution helps to prescribe the extent and manner of the exercise of sovereign power. The Constitution equally tells us the various level of government and the power entrusted to each of these different tiers of government: executive, judiciary, and the legislature. The Constitution tells us about each of the rights that these tiers of government equally have. So we can say that Constitution can be defined as a body of agreed rules and principles according to which a country is governed. It is a basic law to which a political system operates. You see it? So whatever is done in a country politically, the Constitution contains how it is going to work. The rules, the laws, the principles, the regulation governing the political system. They are all written in the Constitution. So our first objective is define Constitution. I know by now you will understand what a Constitution is, and you will be able to define what a Constitution is. Remember that it can be defined as a body of rules and principles that governs a country. If that's what you remember, it's okay. Remember that it's a law, it's a rule, principles that governs people. It is documented. You have it in your leaflet, a booklet, where each citizen will have access to. If you need it, you can go through it and know the constitution of your country. It can be written or unwritten, but know that it stipulates the different power each of the tiers, the three tiers of government that we have, possesses. What are the powers of the judiciary, what are the powers of the executive, and what are the powers of the legislature? All of these is embedded in the Constitution. So now we are going to look at another aspect of the Constitution. We're going to look at another aspect of this class, which is objective number 2. Identify the various colonial Nigerian constitution. That is the constitution that exists before independence. We are going to identify them. In this class, we are just going to identify them and talk a little about them. In subsequent classes, this is the Constitution part 1. In subsequent classes, we are going to be taking them one at a time, the different constitutions that we have. How will they run and manage? So let's look at the different aspects of the Constitution. Colonial Nigerian Constitution. Let's look at the colonial Nigerian Constitution. The first one is the colonial era Constitution that started in 1914. We'll have the next one, the 1922 Clifford's Constitution. We'll have the Richards Constitution, 1946. We'll have the Matheson's Constitution, 1951. And we'll have the Littleton's Constitution, 1954 till independence. Now let me talk a little about each of these constitutions. The colonial era Constitution, this was the first constitution enacted during the colonial era, when the country was administered as a crown colony. And Frederick Lord Guard did amalgamation of the northern and the southern region. Okay, so this was the first one. Lord Lugard put this in place to bring in the south, the north and the southern region together. Then we see the second one, which is the 1992 Constitution enacted by Clifford. This is the Clifford's Constitution. This 1922 Constitution replaced the 1914 Constitution, and then it is a constitution of the colonial era which established a 46-member legislative council, lawmakers that are in the organs of government. This constitution replaced this, and this brings about the 46 members legislative council, lawmakers. All right, we go to the number 3, Richard's Constitution. Richard's Constitution. This is a constitution put in place by Actor Richards. This constitution replaced the Clifford's Constitution, and for the first time, Nigeria was divided into 3 regions: the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. So the Richards Constitution divided Nigeria into 3 regions. We have the northern region, the western region, and then the eastern region. That is what the Richards Constitution did. And then we have, that was the 1946 Constitution. Then we have the Mapheson's Constitution, which started in 1951. This constitution was made after widely consulting the people of Nigeria. When all these other constitutions were made, the Nigerian people were not part of the constitution. And so at this point, during the Mapheson Constitution of 1951, the constitution was made after widely consulting the Nigerian people, and a federal system of government was agreed upon. The Nigerian people agreed on a federal kind of government, and then Africans were elected into political seats, and they were part of the legislative arms of government. So this is where Nigerians became a little involved in governance. This constitution brings in Nigerians were allowed. Here, Nigerians agreed to have a federal kind of system of government, and then the Africans were elected into different political seats, and they become part of the legislature. And then we have the Letitins Constitution, which started in 1954. Due to the conflict that happened between the other 3 regions, they've put up together in some part of the country. This gives rise to having this Letitin Constitution. And so after this Letitin Constitution in 1954, this constitution led to independence, and then we have the constitution that was made not by colonial masters, but then by Nigerians, because then they are already independent. So these are the constitutions that we have before independence: the colonial era constitution of 1914, the 1922 Clifford's Constitution, the Richards Constitution of 1946, the Mapheson's Constitution of 1951, and the Letitins Constitution of 1954 till independence. Alright, so this is our second objective. So we've been able to explain what constitution is, and we've seen the different constitutions that came up during the colonial time. We talked a little about it, but in subsequent classes where we take the constitution part 2, we are going to be deliberating in each of these constitutions. Thank you for being in our civic class today. Remember, I told you that this begins our Jss3 curriculum, and we've ended our social study for Jss3. Thank you for being here. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. Share the video. You can use the class as a revision class, as a stay-at-home class, and you can use it to refresh your mind and pass your exam very well. Those positive feedback I have below the comment box that the classes help you. Those are the reasons why I show up, and I show up because you are there. It's not a monologue class, it's a dialogue between you and I. So comment below the comment box and tell us more. Have questions? Go and ask below the comment box. I'll see you in the next.